Hello, students. I hope you all are happy and fine. Students, quickly take out your GK books and take out chapter number 32 Words Last Forever. See, we know great personalities have brought differences to the world with simple inventions and discoveries. By creating minor changes, by introduction of unusual, yet the common people have become the famous personalities. And these great personalities have brought great transformation and amazing changes in the usual routines, whether it is politics or arts or science, whether it is religious or philosophical, whether it is big or small. The impact made by people made them famous personalities. For example, Mother Teresa, the most lovable woman with kindest heart in the world, the father of nation India, Mahatma Gandhi, who fought for justice through non-violence, the man of simplicity. Students, in this chapter we will study about famous great personalities and their famous sayings, which are very famous even after their death. And those sayings of the people motivate us to do what we love to do. So at first number we will talk about John F. Kennedy. He was an American politician who served as the 35th President of the United States. And students, it is an unfortunate fact that we can secure peace only by preparing for war, is the famous saying of John F. Kennedy. Students, Kennedy served at the height of the Cold War, and the majority of his work as president concerned relations with the Soviet Union and Cuba. At second number, we will talk about Thomas Edison. Thomas Alva Edison was an American inventor and businessman who has been described as America's greatest inventor. He developed many devices in fields such as electric power generation, mass communication, sound recording, and motion pictures. Edison was raised in the American Midwest. Early in his career, he worked as a telegraph operator, which inspired some of his earliest inventions. His one of the famous saying was, "Genius is 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration." And the meaning of perspiration is sweat. So next we will talk about Napoleon Bonaparte. Napoleon Bonaparte was a French statesman and military leader who led many successful campaigns during the French Revolution and French Revolutionary Wars. He was the Emperor of the French from 1804 to 1814. Napoleon is regarded as one of the greatest military commanders in history, and his wars and campaigns are studied at military schools worldwide. His political and cultural legacy has made him one of the most celebrated and controversial leaders in human history. His very famous saying is, "Impossible is a word to be found only in the dictionary of fools." Students, next we will talk about William Wordsworth. William Wordsworth was an English romantic poet who helped to launch the Romantic Age in English literature. Wordsworth is best known for lyrical ballads, co-written with Samuel Taylor Coleridge, and The Prelude, a romantic epic poem chronicling the growth of a poet's mind. William Wordsworth is also known as poet of nature. He held a firm faith that nature could enlighten the kind-heartedness and universal brotherhood of human beings, and only existing in harmony with nature, where men could get true happiness. The famous saying of William Wordsworth is, "The child is father of the man." The next great personality about which we will talk about is Abraham Lincoln. Abraham Lincoln was an American statesman and lawyer who served as the 16th President of the United States from 1861 to 1865. Lincoln led the nation through the American Civil War, the country's greatest moral, constitutional, and political crisis. He was self-educated and became a lawyer, Whig Party leader, and U.S. Congressman. Abraham Lincoln is famous for the Gettysburg Address, abolishing slavery, and being one of the 4 presidents who has been assassinated. His famous saying is, "The government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from the earth." The next great personality is Winston Churchill. Sir Winston Churchill was a British statesman, army officer, and writer. He was Prime Minister of the United Kingdom from 1940 to 1945 during the Second World War, and again from 1951 to 1955. Winston Churchill is best remembered for successfully leading Britain through World War II. He was famous for his inspiring speeches and for his refusal to give in even when things were going badly. His famous saying is, "I have nothing to offer but blood, toil, tears, and sweat." Now, next we will talk about Socrates. Socrates was a Greek philosopher from Athens who is credited as one of the founder of Western philosophy and as being the first moral philosopher of the Western ethical tradition of thought. Socrates professed not to teach anything but only to seek answers to urgent human questions. His famous saying is, "No evil can happen to a good man either in life or after death." Students, the next great personality is John Keats. John Keats was an English romantic poet. He was one of the main figures of the second generation of romantic poet. His poems were not generally well received by critics during his lifetime. His reputation grew after his death, and by the end of the 19th century, he had become one of the most beloved of all English poets. His famous saying is, "A thing of beauty is a joy forever." So, the next person is Lord Byron. George Gordon Byron, popularly known as Lord Byron, was an English poet and politician. He was one of the leading figures of the Romantic movement and is regarded as one of the greatest English poets. His famous saying is, "Whom the God loves die young." Students, the last great personality is Neil Eldon Armstrong. Neil Armstrong was an American astronaut and aeronautical engineer. He was the first person to walk on the moon. He was also a naval aviator, test pilot, and university professor. Neil walked a distance of about 60 meters on the surface of the moon. That's roughly the length of 11 Asian elephants. His famous saying is, "A single step for a man, a giant leap for mankind." Students, with this only we have completed this chapter. Now let me take a feedback. So the first question is, name the famous great personalities about which we read in this chapter. Second, name America's great inventor. Third, name the greatest military commander of France. Fourth, who is known as the poet of nature. Fifth, name the person who first walked on the moon. Students, now your homework is to do this exercise. Thank you.